Right now, an Albuquerque high school counselor is headed back to class despite being in the hot seat.
Yeah, she's facing battery charges for a scuffle with a teen and her own husband. Joanne Carl is the lead counselor at Manzano High School. She is now charged with battery against a household member and cruelty to children. Albuquerque police lapel video from November shows Carl claimed her husband and her stepdaughter were beating her up after a verbal fight. The victim said Carl started that fight and went after the teen.
She pushed me up against the wall over here and started kicking me.
She's going at my daughter, and I stayed right there in the kitchen holding her back away from my daughter.
So APD says it's aware, or APS rather, says it's aware of the charges and put Carl on leave for only 3 weeks to investigate this. But the district says she's back working at Manzano High this morning with no changes to her role. To see the full special assignment report, head on over to our KRQE News app.
This morning, a former Rio Rancho substitute teacher accused of sending explicit Facebook messages to a 17-year-old student is waiting to see if she will face charges. We've learned the case is now in the hands of the district attorney. We first told you about Christy Gates on special assignment in January. The boy in her class claims that Gates sent him sexually explicit messages, video, and photos. Gates no longer works for the district, but she has yet to be charged. We've been checking up on this case and found out recently that police turned their investigation over to the DA.
New at 6, State Police says it is working on revamping the way Amber Alerts get sent out. According to the Albuquerque Journal, the change would give them more control on the information that gets put into the alert. Right now, State Police enters the information into a federal database. After that, it gets sent to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Then that nonprofit sends the alert out. The change would let State Police send it out themselves. State Police says it will switch to the new system in the near future.
Time now 6:04 new this morning. Governor Susana Martinez is in New York today ahead of the state's Republican primary next week. Her office says she'll be joining the GOP presidential candidates at a fundraising gala there. The governor had campaigned for Marco Rubio before he dropped out. She has not said who she favors now. Tomorrow, Martinez is off to Palm Beach, Florida for a meeting with the Republican Governors Association. She's the chairwoman of the GOP fundraising group. The Governors Association will foot the bill for travel to that event. More cities around the country are banning travel to North Carolina and Mississippi over new anti-LGBT legislation.
Yes, Salt Lake City's mayor is just one of the latest mayors to do so. She is openly gay, but not everyone there agrees with that move.
Not everyone in the state is gay. Just because she is does not mean the rest of us are. And she should not shove her opinions on the rest of the city.
Now, earlier this month, you might remember Santa Fe Mayor Javier Gonzalez also banned non-essential city travel to those states. Cities from Portland to Boston have issued travel bans. The North Carolina law prohibits transgender people from using public bathrooms that do not match their biological gender.
On to news happening now. A Houston area deputy constable is in the hospital this morning after being ambushed and shot 6 times. Authorities say that deputy was leaning into his car talking to a trainee when the shooter came up behind him and opened fire. It happened just after midnight. He was hit in the back and sides, but doctors say he is expected to survive. Meanwhile, Houston police are looking for that shooter this morning.
Developing this morning, the Center for Disease Control is confirming there is direct evidence the Zika virus causes birth defects. The defects include a condition called microcephaly. It causes abnormally small heads and brain damage in infants. Zika is spread primarily through mosquito bites, but can also be transmitted through sexual contact. At this point, there is no vaccine or treatment for the virus.
A South Florida girl is safe with her family this morning after narrowly escaping an abduction. You can see her walking to her bus in this surveillance video. And that's when a truck making a turn spilled stuff out of the back onto the street. Police say the driver asked the 11-year-old girl for help before he grabbed her. The girl's mother says she was able to get away, though, by pulling back and falling. Police still have not found the driver, but the little girl is said to be doing okay, besides some cuts and bruises this morning.
That is so terrifying.
Yeah.
Happening soon this month, volunteers will be coming together to clean up Cedro Peak. This is what parts of the area in the East Mountains look like. Graffiti on rocks and trees, trash left behind. Cedro Peak has a trail like few others, and the New Mexico Four-Wheelers Association does not want to see it destroyed. The group is planning a cleanup on the 23rd. They say they can use all the help they can get. If you want to pitch in, You can find information about the cleanup effort on KRQE.com or check out our KRQE News app.
And former UNM Lobo Cullen Neal will be wearing an Ole Miss jersey the next time he hits the court. Neal told ESPN that he made the decision because Ole Miss, quote, made me feel like home. Neal announced last month that he would transfer after he graduates from UNM. He's going to have 2 years of eligibility at Ole Miss and will be able to play immediately. He averaged more than 12 points and nearly 4 assists per game this past season. The Lobos finished with a 17-15 record.
On to this, construction is underway at Bernalillo County's Juvenile Jail on a garden some hope will get kids back on track. In 2014, La Cocina Verde was created within the secured perimeter of the jail to teach students how to farm. Yesterday, construction began on a second hoop garden. The greenhouse is just right outside the jail. It allows students who have been released but still have to report to programs there to keep farming.
This is a great benefit, A, to give them hands-on skills and possibly even some job training. Secondly, to grow their own food and know where their food is really coming from.
The new greenhouse will be officially dedicated in a special ceremony that is next week.
Kristen, thank you. Meantime, more orange barrels may soon line a busy interchange in Albuquerque. That's if a project at I25 in Rio Bravo is approved.
But before the plan gets the green light, the Department of Transportation wants to hear from you. That's happening new today. News 13's Catherine Mazzone is live with the details. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning, Krista. Now, you don't have to stand here for long to realize why this area is an issue. Just check out all of this congestion here behind me. It's one reason why the Department of Transportation is holding a meeting today to talk about proposed changes for this area, I25 and Rio Bravo. The plan calls for improvements on a 3-mile stretch of the highway and along Rio Bravo between Prince and University. The department says tonight's meeting will serve to educate locals about the project's need and purpose and to get their take. It says that area, like I mentioned, sees a lot of congestion and hopes this road work will help. Now, NMDOT is also expected to present models of both the preferred and alternative proposals and update residents on the project schedule. It's tonight at 6 at the Mountain View Community Center on Prosperity Avenue Southeast. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Catherine. Now, last spring, the DOT started building a 3rd lane in each direction on that stretch of I-25. Those lanes aren't done yet and says they won't be until that interchange project is through. For more information, head on over to our website, KRQE.com.
On to new details this morning. The group fighting the ART plan in an attempt to save some of Route 66's history will have to wait a month before getting an answer. A city commission they called out to try to stop the plan says it will take that long before it can make a decision on any changes to the project through the Highland-Edo district. That's the section of Central running from Broadway to I-25. The two neighborhood associations have drawn up their own plans for the bus line. They're asking the mayor's office to add more on-street parking and left turn lanes and axe some sections of the dedicated bus lanes. The commission says it will wait until next month to decide whether the project is designed in a way that respects the history of that stretch of downtown. Construction is set to start in July.
On to news happening today. Teachers, students, and members of the community in Espanola will be holding a meeting to discuss what's been happening with the superintendent and the recently fired high school coach. A video surfaced of Espanola Valley High School coach Richard Martinez leading his team in prayer before the state championship game. A week later, Superintendent Bobby Gutierrez put Martinez on leave. The prayer is against the rules, but sources tell us there were other issues as well. And the PED could not say much other than Martinez is being investigated for serious potential ethical and criminal misconduct. Last week, Superintendent Gutierrez fired Coach Martinez. This was right before she resigned. The meeting, again, is today at the Inn at Delta from 4:30 p.m. until 7 o'clock. Also happening today, the former governor of New Mexico, Gary Johnson, is on the campaign trail tonight. The Libertarian presidential candidate will speak at the UNM Student Union building. That's tonight at 6. He announced his run back in January. Johnson ran before, you might remember, back in 2012. He got more than 1 million votes then. Johnson says he wants to wipe out the federal deficit and tighten spending. The party will select its presidential candidate during its National Convention Memorial Day weekend. Tonight's event is free.
Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, meantime, will face off in a debate in New York City tonight, just days before the critical New York primary. Bernie Sanders drew 27,000 people to Manhattan's iconic Washington Square Park. It's one of the largest crowds yet in his campaign. Polls show Clinton with a more than 10-point lead over Sanders in New York. At a community center in the Bronx, she tried getting out the vote. On the Republican side, Ted Cruz continues to blast Donald Trump on his campaign tactics.
Donald and his team, it's almost like that they are subjects in a clinical course in psychology.
Trump has hired a new Republican strategist to boost his campaign before the convention coming up in July.
On to this new this morning, the FBI says that so far they have found nothing significant on the San Bernardino terrorist iPhone, which they unlocked last month without the help of Apple. For months, investigators tried gaining access to the data on the locked iPhone used by San Bernardino gunman Syed Farouk, believing that it might hold information on the plans or contacts of the attackers who killed 14 people back in December. This morning, the FBI is not revealing to Apple the techniques used to gain access to that phone.
On to this, 636 this morning, a firefighters union in New Mexico is defending a firefighter who's in serious trouble over a photo that's still racking up views and comments on social media.
Yeah, so the picture shows a Las Cruces firefighter's wife breastfeeding while wearing his uniform. Take a look. The union says the firefighter is facing discipline because the photo uses the department's brand and has nothing to do with the breastfeeding. The fire department has not commented, saying it is a personnel issue. The photo surfaced on social media last month and is still being shared this morning. In just 2 days, a Bernalillo County Reserve deputy is expected to receive a big honor after he was badly hurt in the line of duty. Jeremy Romero became paralyzed in 2014 when he worked for the Corrales Police Department. You might remember it happened after he rolled his patrol car during a chase. Yesterday at St. Pius, Romero was promoting law enforcement as a career. He's among a dozen wounded officers from all over the U.S. who will be honored on Saturday by the Wounded Officers Initiative. It provides long-term support for officers wounded in the line of duty.
The people that really need to get honored is the law enforcement officers that are actually still wearing the badge and actually put their lives on the line of duty every day.
You might remember Romero's actually known as Robocop because he uses this exoskeleton device that helps him walk. He tells us he's making progress in physical therapy and has regained 65% use of his left leg. He was sworn in as a reserve deputy for Bernalillo County back in August.
An Oklahoma bus driver is being called a hero this morning for saving a 5-year-old boy's life.
What are you doing? He's got a coin. He's got a coin. Oh my Lord, are you serious?
Yeah, so I don't know if you could hear it there, but she was saying that the kids were repeating that he had swallowed a coin, and Ginger Maxville quickly stopped the bus when she realized the young boy was choking. She immediately sprang into action, started performing the Heimlich maneuver, and the boy coughed up the penny.
I heard it hit the floor, and then I seen it rolling. I said, we got it.
Maxwell says the young boy asked to keep the penny after all this happened. She did give it to him only after he promised never to swallow another coin again.
Maybe it'd be his lucky coin, huh?
Maybe so. Good for him.
Okay, another great story this morning. A boy in Kentucky will be sporting some new kicks, and he's thanking a girl he didn't even know. 13-year-old Shaylin Hampton was watching the other kids play basketball near her home when the boy showed up to the game. The other kids started bullying the new kid because his shoes were falling apart. So Shaylin gave him one of her own pairs of shoes. Wow. Get this, they were new $200 LeBrons. The family of the girl says they don't know much about the boy other than his name is Richard, but we all know here that she has a big heart.
What a kind gift, you know? I love that video of her walking up to him, too.